Expect to hear some speakers, and you can expect to hear some entertainment, and there'll be a half-hour block. So we're going to give you some entertainment for half an hour, then some speakers, some entertainment, some speakers. If the sun's still shining and if you're still fit enough, we won't be finishing till 8 o'clock. So it's a real carnival of music and speakers today. Before I go on, can I just say thank you to Samba Bamba, who are playing some music in the corner there. Let's say they're not Samba Bamba. Anyway, they were a beautiful samba band, and I'll find out what their real name was in a minute. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to introduce some music for you. The first people who are going to, the first person who's going to play for you is Heir of the Cursed.
So, the first song I'm going to sing for you it's an old gospel song. It's about the trouble of the world, which will soon be over, I hope. Thanks for stepping up.
George has them.
Soon we'll be done.
We'll be done.
sing along.
Freedom knalje. Ja. Freedom knalje, ja, maybe not.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome one day. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We will all be free. We will all be free. We will all be free. We will all be free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome one day. Last one. We are not afraid. We are not afraid.
We are not fake news.
We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome one day. We shall overcome one day.
Thanks very much indeed. That was Air of the Cursed. And now to introduce a very old friend of mine and a very wonderful singer. Not that old. Just when she's plugging in now. Oh, by the way, there's even more people arriving. You can see so many great banners. I'm going to read some of them out later. But now, over to Carol Lawler.
Thank you! And it strikes me as I stand here, having watched TV today and all the stuff that's going on, there are more people here than were at that inauguration in 2017. How's that for fake news, eh? So a long time ago I wrote this song, when the UK felt it was right to stand shoulder to shoulder with the US. They even had an interesting president then. In the early 90s, when we decided we were going to go to war in Iraq, and look how much we've learned. My arse. talking about how the American economy is doing great. Unemployment's at the lowest ever, and it's all about money. Money's doing great. What about the folk that are being shot every day? What about the wains that are being kept in cages every day? Come on. So this is a nice segue into another Carol Lola tune. It's called Life is Cheap.
Just like cold hard cash. I believe it could be sweeter, makes me wanna laugh. Nights are long and getting longer, crying for the past. The bigger boys, they're getting stronger, and ships ain't built to last. Not like the good old days, yawning every way. I am the good old days, when no one had remote control. Yeah, days of old, they're getting older, photographs and tales. Could be long, it could be sweeter, but history regaled. Yeah, like the good old days, yawning every way. I am the good old days, when all for one was one for all. Yeah. Jesus loves and love is sweeter, but like holy hard cash makes me want to know that sweeter, makes me want to lie. Yes, like the good old days, yawning every way. I am the good old days, when one was right and bad was wrong, and songs were never long. Life is cheap and getting cheaper, just like cold hard cash. Don't believe it could be sweeter, makes me wanna laugh. Thank you! Enjoy the rest of your evening. And dump Trump.
Another round of applause for Carol Lola. Okay, now we're going to move to the first section of our speeches. We're going to hear from various speakers in this first block. The first person I want to introduce is the chair of the STUC, the Scottish Trade Union Congress's Black Workers Committee. The STUC represents unions across Scotland, but we don't just represent people in the workplace. We fight for their rights wherever we can, and we fight with our brothers and sisters in the US and in the US trade union movement against Trump there too. It's an enormous pleasure for me to introduce Suki, who, as I say, is the chair of our Black Workers Committee. A big round of applause for Suki Sangha.
This demonstration is not about Donald Trump, but it's about challenging the system that he represents. A system which detains children in cages, a system that favours the rich and punishes the poor, and a system which scapegoats migrants and breeds Islamophobia. He also represents a system that denies climate change, which we know is destroying our planet at an alarming rate. It's great to see so many people demonstrating against Trump's vulgarity here in Glasgow tonight, but in London and across different parts of the UK. We should never underestimate the power that practical solidarity like this has on those thousands of miles away. We're also here to say something very simple. Despite Trump's comments in the media today, we should reject any attempt to grovel to Trump's demands. We will that the UK has long had with the US, a relationship that has seen us wage illegal wars, a relationship which fuels anti-Muslim hatred, and a partnership which protects the interests of large corporations and the super rich. We should also be under no illusions that Trump is angling for a trade deal, but on his terms, a deal which threatens our public services and our rights as workers. We must oppose any trade deals which pave the way to greater privatisation whilst multinationals line their pockets. Our NHS is not for sale. I want to say something about racism. There's a brick on the wall below which quotes civil rights activist Angela Davis, and it states that it's not enough to be non-racist, we must be anti-racist, and I think that's crucial. Time and time again, we see the same vicious circle. Job insecurity and unemployment is blamed on refugees and migrants, and Muslims become scapegoats when our country wages wars abroad. Trump's attack on Sadiq Khan is dangerous. By equating a Muslim mayor with a problem with terrorism, you create a toxic racist narrative. We must oppose this. Racism, sexism, homophobia, and all forms of hatred all undermine the cohesion of the working class and our ability to fight. Demonstrations like today are vital, because how do we defeat Trump? How do we challenge Theresa May and combat the rise of the far right? Well, we do it by building the biggest movement possible, a movement which not only mobilises on our streets, but one which needs to be built in the places that we work and in the communities in which we live. One of my favourite quotes is by Fred Hampton, a member of the Black Panthers Party. He once said that we fight racism with solidarity and we fight capitalism with socialism. Those words are important. We need to convince people that the real enemy in society isn't their Muslim neighbour. The real enemy in society isn't a migrant worker. The real enemy is the 1%, the super rich who exploit our labour. The bosses who curtail our rights as workers. The corporations who get bigger and richer as the vast majority of people get poorer. These are the people that we need to target. Donald Trump embodies all of that. He is a product of an economic system in meltdown. I'm very proud to be speaking today on behalf of the STUC Black Workers Committee. The trade union movement has a proud history in Scotland of challenging racism in the workplace and on the streets. So if you're not part of a trade union or a tenants union, then I would encourage you to join them today. What Trump and the Tories fear most is when working class people unite together. Our collective power has the ability to destroy any attempts by those who seek to divide us. Where people feel isolated, we will build a sense of community. Where people feel helpless, we will give them hope. And where people feel that they don't have power, we will come together and we will build collective power, because another world is possible. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed, Suki. I want to compliment the young woman over there who's written this sign saying, "Don't comb over here with your racist policies." Excellent piece of work, a really good design as well. You can help us with our wall next time we build it. I think people understand, and people who've looked across at what Donald Trump is doing recognise that one of the things that he wants to do is to take away the right of women to choose. And my organisation, and I think all the organisations here, will never be part of a movement that wants to take away a woman's right to choose. The next speaker that we have is going to speak about that a little bit. She's Gillian Merchant from the Scottish Abortion Rights Campaign. Welcome, Gillian.
Thanks, everyone. Donald Trump, well, he does not think that women should make the decisions over their own body. He is anti-choice. He thinks that women should be punished for having abortions. In his election, he made pretty clear that he was going to appoint pro-life judges to the US Supreme Court to pursue a serious agenda designed at restricting women's reproductive rights. And since coming to power, he has done just that. In recent days, he has announced his most recent nomination to the Supreme Court, the court that upholds a woman's constitutional right to abortion. And surprise, surprise, he has appointed an anti-choice conservative ideologue who believes, for some bizarre and unknown reason, that the government knows more about women than women themselves. If appointed, this will be the most conservative anti-choice majority this court has seen in decades, meaning that the most important progressive legislation of our generation might be at risk. This means that the onslaught of states which have tried to deny women's access to abortion over the years will likely be permitted with their anti-choice, anti-women laws, including forcing women to wait for 72 hours as a cooling-off period, undergoing biased counselling, and putting in place barriers which make providing healthcare entirely unworkable and unreasonable for organisations like Planned Parenthood. It is estimated that in the next 18 months, 20 states might ban abortion. The question I would ask is this making America great again? And we all know that when you restrict a woman's right to choose and you ban abortion, it does not stop abortion happening, but all it does is it makes it illegal and it makes it unsafe. Women will die if there is not legal abortion. Women with money will be able to afford abortion, and women without will go to desperate measures to terminate an unwanted pregnancy. When women die, this is not pro-life, this is anti-women. Trump's intentions on his pregnancy were pretty clear when he started. A few weeks into his presidency, surrounded by a group of white, rich men, he signed a law preventing organisations receiving government funding from being involved in abortion services, reinstating the global gag rule. The global gag rule means that 1.7 million women globally will go without abortion services in the run-up to 2020 because of this decision. And the question that I ask our government is, what are they doing to fill this funding gap? These attacks on women cannot be underestimated. We are now in a situation where there is a real danger that the generations of women that come after us will have fewer rights than we do. And that is not something that is acceptable. And the irony of all of this is that the majority of public opinion here in Scotland and in America is pro-choice. We cannot forget that we are on the right side, the just side, and the side that stands with women. It's Trump and his right-wing idealists that are on the wrong side. 1 in 4 women in America will have an abortion in their lifetime, and 1 in 3 women in the UK will access abortion healthcare sometime in theirs. It's about time that our politicians here and in the US listened and took note of the reality of women's lives. Abortion is healthcare and a vital service, part of so many women's lives. In Scotland, too often abortion is a dirty word, too controversial a topic to mention, a taboo, a word that for too long has been associated with shame and guilt. And for those reasons, our abortion rights rallies are rarely as well attended as we have this evening. And that is because people are scared to talk, and this has to change. The successful repeal of the 8th referendum in Ireland shows us that attitudes are changing. Attitudes are becoming more pro-choice. And it is only by women speaking out and speaking openly about the reality of their lives that these negative stereotypes and attitudes will be challenged. Changing the culture can't be reversed. It is only by women telling their lived experiences that we will fight these draconian anti-choice views. It is heartbreaking to think that as our sisters in Ireland are beginning the legal journey for legal abortion rights there, our American sisters are preparing to defend theirs. But pro-life, right-wing extreme organisations linked to Trump and his Vice President Mike Pence were linked to the No campaign in Ireland and are linked to the March for Life and other such pro-life demonstrations here in the UK. These groups are not welcome in Scotland and have no place here. So let's stand up to Trump. But not only let's make this an opportunity to defend and extend a women's right to choose, to change the culture so that there's no going back, to talk about the reality of women's lives. Let's make clear that he does not speak for us. He does not speak for women. Trust women. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed, Gillian. I want to read out another sign. I know who wrote this sign because she's written it on her sign. Ruby Drew thinks you are poo. I think she means Donald Trump, not me, but by the end of this we'll find out. You'll hear during this evening's proceedings speeches from a number of trade unions, and I do want to thank Scotland's trade unions who have donated the majority of money that we needed to put this on today. So thank to all of Scotland's trade unions. And now I want to introduce one of those trade union leaders. Janice Godric is based in Scotland, but she's the national president, the UK president of the Public and Commercial Services Union. Welcome, Janice.
Well, thanks, Dave. And as you said earlier, today, here in Glasgow and in cities and towns around the country, people are gathering together in order to express their opposition to the visit by Donald Trump. And I think, before I start, we should pay credit to the turnout here today, credit to the turnout in London. I left Newcastle last night. There was a big rally starting near the monument there. And let's compare the solidarity and joy that's coming out of these demonstrations with the rallies that Donald Trump held in America that are full of bigotry and so on. And that gives us tremendous hope, that hope for the future that his policies will be overcome. Colleagues, we're protesting against his reactionary views and to express our revulsion at the attacks on what seems a never-ending list of people that he considers to be enemies. That includes black and other oppressed minority people, gay, lesbian and transgender men and women. He hates immigrants. He hates trade unionists. He hates women. He hates anyone who dares to challenge his view that the world should just be run by the rich and powerful. So yes, we're here today to protest against those repulsive views. But that's not enough. We're here today not just to protest, but to express our full solidarity with the victims of Donald Trump. Express solidarity with the victims of war carried out by the American and West military machine. Express solidarity with the children locked in cages. Express the solidarity with the black men and women who are routinely shot down by police officers for no other reason than the colour of their skin. Express solidarity with all those victims of sexual harassment. Express solidarity with gay and lesbian and transgender people in the direct line of fire of Trump's policies. Colleagues, his idea of making America great again is to destroy everything and anybody who doesn't fit in with his hate-filled vision of reality. And let's also express our full solidarity with the American working class whose rights and conditions are under constant attack. And send our solidarity to the magnificent recent socialists elected in the USA, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Kinwa Salvant in Seattle. But let's be no smugness on our part. No sense that things here in Britain and Europe are so much different. Trump is the latest and most concerning product of a process that's a direct line from Thatcher, Blairism and Obama. A direct consequence of the great lie that there's no alternative to the market. A direct consequence of warmongering foreign policies of not only the USA, but of Britain and all other Western powers. It's also a direct consequence of a failure to organise in the most effective, coordinated way to respond to austerity. And here's a simple example. The American insurance companies are salivating at the prospect of the billions in profits that they can accept from trade deals with the Tories from the privatisation of the NHS. That privatisation, which is going ahead, and the NHS is the greatest gain ever won by our class, and yet it's been stolen from us. So yes, let's protest against Trump, but let's also take effective action against the mini-Trumps attacking the NHS. Call for a trade union movement to organise effective action, including coordinated strike action across the trade union movement to prevent the privatisation of the NHS. Colleagues, our members are balloting on pay as we speak, and will continue to fight against low pay. It'd be great if the whole of the trade union movement in the public sector was striking together. Let's make sure, as well as protesting against Trump, we put at the forefront of our mind getting rid of this weak, rotten, divided Tory government. Trump is also a product of politicians who have meekly accepted the so-called inevitability of austerity. We were right to argue for an alternative. Working class people instinctively know they're not to blame for austerity. So let's protest against Trump, but let's also be clear. If you accept privatisation as a fact of life, if you accept what scraps the Tories throw to us in wages, if you meekly implement Westminster cuts, if you implement Tory council cuts, if your internationalism stops at the borders of the UK, if you're not prepared to fully support the right to national self-determination, then you're part of the problem, not the solution. Colleagues, our alternative must be clear. We must offer hope and confidence to all that he represents, and not only hope but action, by building the widest possible alliance against his message of fear, hostility and despair. And that means a clear socialist alternative. A socialist alternative based on tolerance and respect, where every human being is entitled to live their life in a dignified manner, free of hate, oppression and oppression. A life where every human being has the means to reach their full potential. Colleagues, in conclusion, Trump's thrown down a challenge to us all. It's either his way or our way. So let's protest against him today, against the obnoxious American president, but also against the rotten system he represents. As Trump pledges to make America great again in his own image, we will pledge to make austerity go away in our own image. Let's dump Trump, chase him around the world and build a future based on socialism. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed, Janice. I'm looking at a sign over there that says, "Dear Donald, I'm gonna shite in your kettle." It's not a reference I've had before, but it's one that I'll remember for the future. Seriously though, I think as we heard from Janice there, and we will hear from many speakers, the Trump attitude towards women is a dangerous one. We all have responsibility for our own behaviour, but attitudes like Trump's makes the world a more dangerous place for women. And it's really, really important then that in Scotland and from Scotland we hear from Mridul Wahada from Rape Crisis Scotland.
So when I told my 7-year-old son, Zen, who has brown, migrant parents, loves his mother, a trans woman, that Donald Trump is coming to town, he said, take cover. But why wouldn't he? But we aren't going to, are we? For his sake, for my sake, and the sake of women and all survivors of sexual violence. We must protest. While Trump might be easy to identify as a misogynist, even a 7-year-old boy can do that. He really is representative of a global problem that we have with sexual abusers of women, children, trans and non-binary people who occupy positions of power. We consistently as a society forgive their transgressions, electing, nominating, promoting them into positions of power despite and in spite their sexual violence. Forgiven, forgotten, ignored, these perpetrators thrive in our parliaments, councils, public services, in our workplaces, and in our homes. Continuously empowered by a system and a society that elects a Trump to power, allowing themselves, electing Trump to power, allowing themselves to enjoy the freedoms that the patriarchy brings them. Trump's loud-mouthed, shameless body shaming and victim blaming is condemned with such ease, but yet whispered in the ears of survivors of sexual violence loudly into their minds and souls in our society, continuing to inhibit survivors while those who perpetrate violence argue about their right to keep their name clean, stating, if it's true what I did, go report it, prove me guilty. Where is the evidence to say that I did it? Their crimes forgotten, ignored, and then elected to power. Elected, appointed, empowered to take away our rights as women, trans people, migrants, refugees, people of color, people of some faiths, disabled people, lesbian women, gay men, and intersex people. We did that. No wonder, Me Too, the movement, was heard so loudly in this misogynistic action against us as women. But you know what? There has been a Me Too movement for a very long time. For the last 40 years, Rape Crisis Scotland, our survivor-led, informed movement, has worked hard with our friends, supporters, workers, elected officials, public services, to undermine the systems that seek to silence us. The landscape may have changed. Survivors know that there are more, and many of us who believe them, support them, want better for them. But the system is still equipped to silence them. Our justice system is still informed by the misogyny of our social history. It still thrives empowered by our patriarchal history. We need to change it quicker than we can empower those of the like of Trump with our silence, our excuses for their behavior, and our need for evidence to prove their crimes. So here is another version of Me Too to consider. Please consider it. Survivors have done their stuff by coming out bravely, valiantly, courageously for decades to make the world better for them and those who come after them. What are you going to do? When are you going to say Me Too? When are you going to say Me Too? I'm going to change. I too am going to change the system that silences and disbelieves survivors. Thank you.
Oh, just look at a sign up the back there that says 9 out of 10 climate change scientists agree that Trump is a hoax. I'm a bit worried about the 10% that don't, but we've got a couple more speakers in this section before we bring back some music and before I bring back the sun. I think we heard earlier about the importance or the threat that Donald Trump poses to world peace, and for many, many years Scottish CND has been campaigning for world peace. I'd like to introduce Flavia Tujarenu from Scottish CND.
There are over 15,000 nuclear weapons in the world, split between 9 states, capable of wiping off the entire planet. Experts have warned us that the risk of nuclear catastrophe in a regional war, terrorist attack by accident or miscalculation is greater than it used to be during the Cold War, and it's still rising. The nuclear doomsday clock moved this year closer to midnight in a desperate attempt to raise awareness that nuclear war is likely to lead us to disaster if we don't make any changes. We at Scottish CND repeatedly point out that there's no safe hands for nuclear weapons. And if we think of Trump, there's no surprise that most of us will have major concerns about him having the nuclear weapon button. While a step in the right direction, a very timid one has been made by Trump in the North Korea summit, we should not ignore his long track record of warmongering, of instigation, of temperamental statements which contribute greatly to moving us closer to nuclear war. You all have heard about the Twitter posts he had commenting that his nuclear button is bigger than North Korea's one, and other shocking and disgraceful statements include the one where he declares an arms race. Let it be an arms race, we will outmatch them at every pass and outclass them all. President Trump's approach is destabilizing, makes the world less safe, and increases the risk of nuclear weapons war. He pushed withdrawal from the Iran deal. His leadership does not inspire stability or confidence in a time of conflict when we need world leaders to act with diplomacy, to have tactful words and tactful language to help the peacemaking process. In a time when more and more countries gather together to sign the new treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons, which was adopted last year at the United Nations, Trump decides to do the opposite. Over the next 10 years, world governments will be spending about $1 trillion on nuclear weapons, while many other sectors are being ignored. This alone is outrageous. But only yesterday, Trump urged NATO countries to double their spending. The UK is set to spend over $200 billion on the renewal of Trident, our nuclear weapon system. And it seems that they're also one of the 5 out of 29 NATO countries that actually managed to reach the spending targets. This is happening while almost 4 million children in the UK live in major poverty. It makes you wonder, what are our priorities and how do we manage to prioritize these instead of our children? And speaking of children, I would like to finalize by inviting you to our 3-day fully funded academy that is taking place at the end of July, and it will build a young generation that probably Trump would hate, a generation of campaigners who stand against nuclear weapons, who stand against a generation of peacemakers. And if you want to apply, please go on our website. There will be a special guest coming from Japan, a first-generation speaker, a survivor of the Hiroshima bombing, as well as a trip to Fastlane for our youth to get to know where nuclear weapons are based, here in Scotland, 30 miles away from Glasgow. And to finish off, let this gathering be a message that we will not tolerate war, and we do not tolerate nuclear weapons, and we do not tolerate environmental destruction or racism. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed. My sign for this moment is I literally have half a heart, but it's still bigger than Donald Trump's. Next speaker in this section will be Jonathan Shafi. When Donald Trump was elected, many of you will remember that people took to the streets on his election and demonstrations were organised in Glasgow and in Edinburgh, and the organisation Scotland Against Trump played a large part in that. So, representing Scotland Against Trump, Jonathan Shafi.
Friends, today we are showing our power, not just in Glasgow, but in Liverpool, in Newcastle, in Manchester, and in London. There is the biggest weekday demonstration in British history. And every one of these demonstrations, and every one that's marching, has been beamed into every single American household on the media. And every single American who is watching those images come through and who is wanting to resist and oppose the Trump regime is going to take confidence and is going to get ready to fight. What we are seeing today is the re-emergence of a genuine working class internationalism. And it's working class internationalism which is the kryptonite of Donald Trump, of Nigel Farage, of Steve Bannon and of Rupert Murdoch. They rely on fear. They rely on us looking at our neighbours with suspicion. They rely on us looking at our neighbours and saying they're taking our jobs. They rely on this so that they can stay rich, so that they can protect their own selfish interests. But it's coming to an end. Today we have turned the tide not just on Donald Trump, but on the whole of the far right, not just in America, but across Europe. That's what we're doing today. Because what we need now, more than ever before, is unity and leadership. Leadership in our communities, in our workplaces, in our colleges, our schools. Unity and leadership that says if you see someone coming under attack because of the colour of their skin, you're going to stand up for them. But leadership means something else. It means that every single person who is attracted to the politics of Trump, who is attracted to the politics of Farage, that we talk to them, that we engage with them, that we win them to our ideas, that we make it clear, that we expose the trick being carried out by the clique of Steve Bannon and the rest of them. Because what they're trying to do, and we should be clear about this, is that they are trying to bring about fascism in the 21st century. We have to be clear that that's what's happening now. When Donald Trump says in Rupert Murdoch's Sun newspaper that immigration is changing the fabric of European society, that is straight out of the Goebbels propaganda book. And it is an absolute disgrace that the BBC is giving time after time after time and again Nigel Farage a platform to spread his poison. And we're going to make sure that the BBC and that all of the news outlets cannot ignore the movement that has been born today. The last couple of points. You look at the world and you think to yourself, can it get any worse? And the truth of the matter is that there is no going back to normal. We are now in the fight of our lives. We are in the fight of our lives because the system is making people poor and because the system is captivating the wealth only for a tiny minority. And if you have such a system, it relies on division, it relies on racism and sexism, it relies on us being divided against each other. It's much more difficult to build unity than it is to stoke division. It's much more difficult to bring people together than it is to make people point at their neighbours. But if we have unity in the numbers that we have today, here and across the UK, if we can show that diversity is strength, we are going to win this battle that's coming in the years ahead. And in conclusion, when you look around today and the people have taken the time to come in the demonstration, look at the person next to you and say to yourself that we're not going to end this movement today. We are going to go back. We are going to spread the message of this demonstration. We are going to take the fight to Steve Bannon, to Donald Trump and the rest of them. It is high time that we serve notice on these toxic racists. It's high time that we serve notice on their plans for fascism in the 21st century. And the way we're going to do that, is by coming together in demonstrations like this and saying loud and clear, we are the resistance, we are not going to stand for this anymore, and we are going to win.
Thanks very much indeed, Jonathan. Now we have one more speaker before a bit more music. Can you guess which one it is? The next speaker doesn't need any introduction to many, many people from Scotland. A friend of mine, but a friend really of many, many people who fought for justice over the years, human rights lawyer Amaran Moir.
Thanks very much, Dave. Thank you to the STUC and all the people who have organised today. Donald Trump, what can I say that hasn't already been said? I think the American dream is long dead. Donald Trump is a racist who glories in obscene wealth, boasts of sexual assaults on women. He has a cabinet full of white supremacists, Islamophobes and conspiracy theorists. He's a billionaire property speculator who claims to stand up for ordinary people, but he's a thug who's only out for himself. The speeches that he has made since coming to power play with the lives of men and women and children. Asylum seekers, immigrants are portrayed as threatening a civilized way of life and treated as the enemy within. Today, across the United Kingdom, though, we are celebrating in our hundreds and hundreds of thousands, not with hate, but with a carnival of resistance, with chants of no Trump, no May, racist, sexist, anti-gay. Donald and Theresa have watched them all day, slavering over their special relationship, whilst Americans were actually told to stay indoors and avoid protests. I, for one, am not interested in a special relationship with the United States and Britain, which celebrates war and weapons of mass destruction. I'm not interested in a special relationship that excuses genocide while serenading dictators with state banquets and arms sales. I'm not interested in a UK laying out the red carpet for a man who tears babies away from their mothers whilst backing guns and the NRA, which allow the massacre of school children again and again. I say this to our American brothers and sisters. I am proud of a different kind of special relationship which exists between the people of the United States and this country. Through generations we have been inspired, we have been empowered, and we have been moved by your people, your music, your history, your culture, your sport, and your spirit of resistance. We love Martin Luther King, we love Muhammad Ali, we love Malcolm X, Bob Dylan, Billie Holiday, Dolly Parton, Bruce Springsteen, Rachel Corrie, and many, many more whose names will live on long after Donald Trump's name has turned to dust. We are inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement, by the Civil Rights movement, by the LGBT movement and the history of Stonewall, inspired by the American football players kneeling during the national anthem, for those murdered by a racist police force. So no, Donald Trump, we will not take lectures from you, we will not welcome you, nor will we let hold your tiny groping hands. Nor will we keep silent in this country as you cage terrified children and force toddlers to address judges in court. But remember, in this country, that hypocrite Theresa May operates a barbaric immigration policy where 15,000 children grow up without seeing both their parents and reports asylum seekers to their death to starvation and persecution. Donald Trump, we will not be silenced when you, a son of an immigrant, married to an immigrant, in a country built by immigrants, tells Europe that its culture has been stripped and destroyed by immigrants. So we welcome all our American brothers and sisters who are on this demonstration today, whether they're here in Glasgow, in Turnberry, in London, in Washington or Charlottesville, and we do so in unity against Trump's politics of hate. You will not divide us, and when you try to build walls, we will tear them down by any means necessary. We will resist, we will unite, and we will defeat you. And I just want to finish by saying one thing of blood. This is the end of what I have to say, but I want to say thank you so much to all those here today. I hope you come to Edinburgh tomorrow, to Turnberry, turn this into a carnival of resistance. But before I go, I want to say one thing to you. On July the 30th, we go to court for Professor Clara Ponsati, who faces extradition to Spain and faces 33 years in prison if convicted for peacefully promoting a referendum. So I urge you to support her defence campaign and to join the vigil outside the court. Thank you very much.
It's a hard race. We're gonna fall. It may seem like the Nazis have risen again. With that big balloon, the great leader of them, who victimize immigrants and treat them like cattle. But those small victories are the alt-right's death rattle. 'Cause it's hard, oh it's hard, it's hard, and it's hard, it's a hard race. I'm gonna fall. Shall we try it? It's hard, oh it's hard, it's hard, it's hard, oh it's a hard race. I'm gonna Thank you so much. Some great singing. As always, thanks to Drew.
I thought long and hard about what I would play today, and I decided to sing a song called This Way Up that I wrote some years ago when I came out, and it just felt right somehow. There's a voice in my head and it screams late at night. Don't ignore all the wrongs, put them right in your eyes. In your eyes. And the voice is so shrill that it breaks my thoughts in the dark of the day. A lonely job in my job. My job. And I know it don't seem right, but I came for you tonight, 'cause you wouldn't believe I was right. I was afraid of what they saw. Who's afraid of what they saw? 'Cause I can't be free. I had no love, and I was born this way up. So the voice just says, only at your will, 'cause you know what you are in this tiny world. Oh, did you scream in your neck? 'Cause the words that you said never helped you out. You were left for dead, left for dead. And I know it don't seem right, but I came for you tonight, 'cause you wouldn't believe I was right. I was afraid of what they saw. Who's afraid of what they saw? 'Cause I can't be free. I had no love, and I was born this way up. This love was different, it would be fine. This love was different, it wouldn't be mine. If only love could exist, then you can find a sweetness in light. If only love could exist within, if only love could exist within, you can find a sweetness in light. Oh,
cheerio, cheerio, cheerio. I can't sing in tune, you've noticed that, yeah? Thanks very much indeed, once again, Libby Carson. We've now got some speakers for you. One of the good things I think about today is the unity that we see between most of Scotland's political parties opposing.
It's the last one, Daft. It's the last one I've got right now, Daft.
I do understand that you'll be seeing some speakers along with others who represent that. The first speaker we have is Richard Leonard, the leader of the Scottish Labour Party.
Can I begin by thanking once again the Scottish and Trade Union Congress for organising this event and pulling together the whole of Civic Scotland.
Filming? I was earlier, I was doing it with Wi-Fi just posing it. Working? Still doing the zero, variable contract. Looking to start the company again. Which one? Oh, yeah, you're doing that. Anyway, I'm going to start the just sort of fix up for the itineraries. We're going to start doing historical tours and stuff like that. I'll just start up again. I mean, I tend to be starting to the routine, there's so much going on at the time. Doing security at the European Championships in Italy. I know there's done that kind of
Whatever happened
self-right 10 days later, what happened
to the idea of security whatever happened, are not Muslims created equal? Are not those children locked in cages on the Mexican border, are they not created equal? We say that you do not stand alone. We stand for you. Your destiny is our destiny. You are free from injustice. No one is from injustice. In the words of the old trade union slogan, as individuals and equality all, Trump is elected. It's not just about the freedom to live in surely it's the freedom to live without prejudice, to live without bigotry, and to live without fear. So this demonstration today is about the politics of the United States, but it's also about this is not about right versus left, this is about right versus wrong. So we demand morality over evil, liberty over tyranny, truth over lies, civilization above barbarism. So what we are saying, with the eyes of the world upon us, is that Donald Trump's visit does not have the consent of the people. We stand against Trump. We stand against Trump and his values, but we stand for humanity.
It's just ongoing, it's this bullshit career.
Why can't we have? Why can't we have a poverty deterrent or an inequality deterrent instead of a nuclear deterrent? We stand up for. And then you come back and say he's on the floor. Many of us, that includes the establishment of Palestinian state.
That's the way to do it. Another thing is the National Yes Registry.
Our body's goal is a common justice of peace,
The Southern No, the ANC and
until it does, we will continue to
that's another way of doing
history is on our side. Donald Trump, no passerelle. Thanks very much, Richard Leonard. For those of you at the front, can I tell you that this gathering is stretching right to the back of George Square just now. We've built George Square. Now gives me great pleasure to introduce Keith Brown, MSP, the SNP's Deputy Leader.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the chance to come along today. Richard Leonard, media interviews. One of our broadcasters asked me if I wasn't embarrassed. And I said I'm absolutely proud of people in this audience, and they're a credit to Scotland. You know that Donald Trump was in Brussels yesterday and he was asked a question about Scotland. And he said the people in Scotland love me.
It's alright for
He said the people in Scotland love my immigration policy. Well, I think you can have a little poll right here just now with what Scotland thinks. Does Scotland love Donald Trump? Does Scotland love Donald Trump's immigration policies? Does Scotland love the way that Donald Trump treats women? I don't think Scotland likes Donald Trump very much. When we talk about Donald Trump, we are not talking about the United States. We have very strong links with the United States going back hundreds of years. We can't let Donald Trump get in the way of the many good people that are in the United States and our relationship with them. If you go back to 1776, the Declaration of Independence, it wasn't just about independence, it was about equality and liberty. This year it was at the Statue of Liberty again. This says, bring me your toil, your tired, huddled masses. And now it's moved on to putting children of immigrants in cages on the Mexican border. What is going wrong in the United States? Tomorrow, thousands of people in this city gather to celebrate love, diversity and tolerance. That will be a brilliant and powerful display, much like what we do here today, celebrating the values that we hold here in Scotland. And again, I was asked by the media, why do this? Well, this is the world of Scotland.
Jordi, how are you?
Alright, amigo, how are you?
He's on Jordi, nice to meet you. Jordi, this is Chloe.
Hi, Chloe, how are you?
By the way, if that was saying a welcome, just say that.
Don't be silly, you're welcome, these days.
Hey Jordi, how you doing, son?
I'm really social awkward, so...
Honestly.
How can you overstay your welcome?
Trust me, I know you haven't met me.
Are you right?